Welcome back to the show where we run you through all the Dolphins news you need to know about. After we run you through the news you need to know about, we run you through the fan community where we answer fans' questions. We got a lot to say on today's episode. Well, we got a lot to break down. It should be a long episode. I think all of us are going to have a really good football weekend after this game, especially. This first news story comes from Pro Football Rumors. Dolphins, Byron Jones to miss week 3. Now, you might be wondering why we're bringing this up. It's important because I want to bring up this topic. This was a huge game for a lot of different reasons. Number one, this kind of gives us a mini bye week to get Byron Jones back healthy. So it's clutch that not only did we win this game, Byron skipped it. Hopefully it gives him a chance to get healthy and come back week 4 against the Seattle Seahawks at home. So I just wanted to bring that up because I thought that was a huge dub for the Dolphins, not only to get the victory in the way that they did on Thursday, but to also give Byron Jones a big period of time to get healthy with the groin injury that he's had. Not just the injury where he re-aggravated it even more, but he's had it all training camp. If you guys don't know, he's had the groin injury for a long period of time. So this gives him a chance to kind of take a lot of time off and come back hopefully healthy, and we can see the secondary play like they should be playing, or how they were intended to play. I shouldn't say should be, because the Dolphins' defense was so much better on Thursday, and so was the rookie Igbenogany. But like I said, this is a huge victory for the Dolphins in those two areas, where they hopefully get one of their best players back against Seattle. So just a huge dub for the Dolphins, and hopefully we'll get to see X and Byron healthy and ready to go. Because X looks better than he, like in Thursday, I thought that was the best he's looked all year, by far. I thought he looked like old X on Thursday night. Just the way he was moving around, the way he was breaking on the ball, I thought he just looked pretty, that's like the healthiest we've seen him. That's the healthiest I saw him, even dating back to last year. We obviously had a lot of things going on last year, and then he finally missed the rest of the year with the knee issues and stuff like that. But he didn't even look like old X last year. I think that was the closest thing we've seen to that huge interception year that he had. That's the closest thing we've seen to Pro Bowl X in a long time. So that gets me really excited, and hopefully we can get Byron back healthy. So before we break down this game, because that's all for the news. Obviously we just did a video not too long ago, so there's not that many. We're during the season as well, so there's not that much news to talk about other than the game. But before we get into the game and the box score and stuff like that, I want to point something out that I just was bothering me when I was watching the game, and just really in general, I just feel like the commentating was the most ignorant commentating I think I have witnessed in a long time. Now, Troy Aikman said, he kept bringing up the fact, now someone can correct me if I'm wrong, because I could be completely wrong about this. Troy Aikman kept bringing up the fact that we were embarrassed against the Buffalo Bills, and I think he meant defense, but then he kept saying it just in general. So I was like, okay, we had the lead in the fourth quarter. If we catch one of those picks in that game, we win that game. I just was really frustrated about that, because it's like, people just don't understand. I mean, we played, I wouldn't say because we didn't play that great on offense against New England, but we still had a chance to win in that game. That team brought the Seahawks all the way till the end, who lead the NFC West right now, and are one of the best teams in football. And you think about the Buffalo Bills, who a lot of people are, crowning Josh Allen as one of the MVP candidates and all this other stuff, if you believe that. To take that team to the fourth quarter, we had the lead in the fourth quarter, and a lot of people think that's one of the best teams in the AFC. I don't, but a lot of people do. And to almost win it, and should have really won it, because I feel like we beat ourselves in a lot of the areas in that game. I just feel like we're done a disservice, and we were kind of looked at as like one of the worst teams in the league, when that's not the case. And it was very annoying to sit through, but obviously it was awesome when we were blowing out the Jaguars, because everybody picked the Jags to beat us. And I just feel like the commentating was just like ridiculous. It's like I didn't feel like any of those people took the time to actually watch those games, and I'm not really sure where they were getting their information from. But it was really frustrating. Nobody was like, this team battled New England in Gillette, which not a lot of teams do, and they were a play away from beating the Bills on Sunday. And that's not how it was. It was more like they were talking about. It's like we just got wiped off the field in both games. And that's just obviously not the case. And I just wanted to point that out because it was really annoying to sit there and hear it. But it was great. And obviously after all of that, to get to actually play the game and whoop the Jags was great. So I'm very, very happy about that. Now on this channel, let's get into the box score. The Dolphins beat the Jaguars 31-13. On this channel, we haven't talked about a blowout game. I can't remember what the streak was. It was the longest drought in the NFL to get a win by double digits. Now, that didn't seem right because I was like, didn't we beat the Jets last year by double digits? Someone's going to have to go back and look at the score of that, but I guess we didn't. It had to have been barely not, though. Because I feel like we blew the Jets out that year. But anyway. The point is, we haven't talked about a blowout like this, a meaningful blowout, in a long time on this channel. So this feels really good as a Dolphins fan to actually... Not only a blowout, but a blowout on a primetime game. And Dolphins fans know what I'm talking about. Because lately in primetime, we've looked really bad. So it was nice to not only get the win, but in primetime and actually get a blowout win is even better. Because there's nothing like Monday night, Thursday night, Sunday night, getting a victory like that. It feels really good. So again, the Dolphins beat the Jaguars 31-13. We talked about the stupid commentating. We got that out of the way. I didn't want to throw that in here. To get it, because there's so much to talk about this game. I don't know really where to start. I kind of want to start with the defense because I have a lot to say about that. But offensively, I guess we'll start offensively. Let's start with I almost said Chad O'Shea. Let's start with Shane Gately. The drastic first of all, I think Shane's doing a great job of finding the identity of the team and what personnel works best for this team. He's done a tremendous job with that. Going from what this team looked like from week 1, where it was very conservative, a lot of run-first stuff, it wasn't very aggressive, to go to week 2, where it was really aggressive for 3 quarters, and then the one drive in the fourth quarter, we kind of went away from that, and I think ended up losing us that game, because we went away from some of the things that we were doing so well, to go into this game where it was just... We did a good job of running the ball, but I feel like the best parts of the offense on Thursday night was the passing game. And the drastic change from... if you look at the sets that we were in week 1 to the stuff that we did in week 2 to the stuff that we did in week 3, it's completely different from one another. I think Chan's doing a great job of not only game planning for the other team, but finding the personnel that really works for this team and sticking to that. And really in the second half, we were in clock mode. We weren't very... I feel like we felt like we were dominating the game. We were just, trying to drain clock and stuff like that. I didn't think we were... If the game was closer, I think we would have still been doing some of the same things that we were doing. But clearly, I think the philosophy changed from the first half to the second half. We were far less aggressive. But I think we've done a good job of really going back to the passing game and really playing through that and kind of running behind that. But I feel like we're definitely finding the identity of this team, especially with the personnel groupings, like the Myles Gaskin thing that we have been seeing for the last really 3 weeks. And I think it's really starting to cement itself to, that's really the lineup that I think gives us the most success, is to really spread it out. And not only that, but he's putting a lot of our guys in positions to make plays. The Jakeem Grant play on the little end-around sweep, which we haven't really seen him do a whole lot of, to really take advantage of his speed. Just another really kind of obvious, but still very creative way. I don't know if I want to use the word creative because it is a very common play, but it's just you can tell that he understands, and this is what we've been hearing in post-game conferences and obviously in the press, that Chan really understands the strengths and weaknesses of his players, and you can really see that come through in his play calling, especially the last 2 weeks. I think he's really starting to get a feel of what this team does really well, and he's starting to build the play calling around that, and he's starting to find individually what everybody else does well as an individual, and you can kind of see that come through. Isaiah Ford has been outstanding so far this season as a slot receiver. He's been a very good slot receiver, a very good possession receiver for us. Mike's obviously continuing his growth, and he's looked amazing. He's affected The last two games in a big way. Devontae Parker, I feel like he's looked great so far this year. Maybe the numbers don't necessarily back that up, but I feel like if we were more aggressive in that second half, he would have had 100 yards receiving. Obviously, Myles Gaskin's development is going in the right direction, and how Chandler uses him not only in the running game but in the passing game. I really wanted to bring up Chan Gailey, and I think he's so far been very impressed, especially after week 1 where it was very concerning and it was a huge letdown. And disappointing, I guess, were some of the words I would use, because obviously we expected a little bit more from this offense. Even though we were going up against the Belichick defense, it still has a strong secondary. We thought we would see better results. We saw a very sloppy play. The play calling was very pedestrian. It wasn't very, pop. It wasn't fun. It wasn't creative. In the last 2 weeks, we've really seen some of the 2019 Dolphins come out and really utilize what we did well at the end of last year, which was pass the football in a really, really nice way. And I love the improvement that the offense has had in such a short span of time. And you can really, 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 really see why Fitz likes Chan as much as he does, and why we kind of made that move. I'm really excited about the offense going forward. Chan has done a really good job. And again, I think it surprises me because I'm on the Chan Gailey train. We scored 28 last week. We scored 31 this week. I think he's doing a really good job with the team. And like I said, really doing a good job of not only doing a good job of finding the identity of the team, utilizing the strengths of the team, but also individual players as well. I think he's doing a great job of that. To get into the stats, Fitz had a great day. The ball legit didn't touch the ground for almost the entire night. He was 18 for 20. Excuse me, he was 18 for 20. 160 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions with a lot of really nice throws down the field. And like I said, Chan is doing a really good job of opening things down the middle of the field, deep down the middle of the field. He's doing a really good job of that. Myles Gaskin continues his really good second year. He had 22 carries for 66 yards. He also had, see, it's not showing up his receiving yards here. I'm not sure how many. I feel like he had. Oh, here it is. He had 29 yards receiving. So almost 100 yards receiving. Or not receiving, but in total yards from scrimmage here. So again, he continues his good second year there. Fitz had a good day scrambling around. He had 7 carries for 38 yards. A lot of really just instinctual runs. Obviously, Jakeem Grant had that big run on his 1 carry for 29 yards. Devontae Parker, like I said, I think he would have had 100 yards if we kept being aggressive and going down the field. He had 5 catches for 69 yards. He's looked good all year with an average of 13 yards a catch. And really, I thought Isaiah Ford had a better night than he did. He only had 2 catches for 14, but he showed up a lot. At least I think so. Obviously, Preston Williams had the touchdown. So, another good day for the offense, scoring 31 points. Came out. I really wish Flo wouldn't have. I wish we kind of kept the pedal to the metal in that second half. Because I think we could have scored a lot more if we just kept being aggressive. But it is what we won we won 31-13. I don't care. A win is a win. But I think a lot of these stats would be even more inflated if we kept pouring water on the drowning Jaguars, in my opinion. Is there anything else I want to say? Oh, I almost forgot this, but this is by far the thing that stood out. Not only the Chan Gailey factor, the thing that really stood out on Sunday was the offensive line and the tight ends. I think those were the MVPs of the game. First of all, I have not seen an offensive line this good in a decade of Dolphins football. The 2012 offensive line, you can make an argument for the 2011 offensive line, and the 2016 offensive line were the best of that decade. It's not even close. It's not even a debate. Those are the 3 best offensive lines we had of that decade. The rest of those offensive lines were not very good, especially the Adam Gase ones, and a lot of the Joe Philbin ones weren't very good either, with the Dallas Thomases and the Billy Turners. It has been it was an abysmal decade of Dolphins offensive lines, for the most part, other than some very one-offs for one-off years, but consistency-wise, it was terrible. And forget young players, because we haven't had guards like this in 10 years. I mean, this offensive line is so good. They didn't let up a sack all night, in my opinion. I know that Josh Allen technically had a sack on Fitzpatrick, but that was an intentional sack. Obviously, he didn't want to throw the football away to run clock. And that's really what the offense was doing the entire second half, was just running clock, which is a little frustrating, but again, is what it is. But back to the offensive line. The offensive line looks amazing. Solomon Kinley looks amazing, dude. Eric Flowers has been outstanding. One of the best free agent signings the Dolphins have had in a long time. He has been very impactful. He's been very good. I mean, he's been amazing, Eric Flowers. Austin Jackson is having a outstanding rookie season for a tackle. He's way out playing expectations for him. He is doing amazing. They went up against K'Lavon Chaisson and Josh Allen, who are very good pass rushers and very good young pass rushers, and completely took them out of the game. They weren't even a factor in this game. Again, in the interior of the offensive line, Ted Karras, who's been awesome, who's been amazing at center for us. This offensive line is a big reason why this offense is doing so well right now, with the 31-point performance and the 28-point performance. Just watching them, dude, it's awesome to watch. You would have to have been around for the last 10 years to really understand where I'm coming from. It is a revelation. I could not be Chris Greer. I don't know. Obviously, Adam Gase had a lot to do with the theme of the team when he was the head coach of the Dolphins, and a lot of the personnel decisions, because what he has done in the trenches for this team, especially on the offense side of the football, I mean, I could not be more happy. I mean, this is the best job a GM has done here in a long, long time. This offensive line is awesome. It's awesome to watch. The tight ends looked awesome. Adam Shaheen and Durham Smythe did a great job all night blocking. There was at one point Durham Smythe blocked, I think it was either, I don't know who it was either Chaisson or Josh Allen one-on-one, and he completely took him out of the play. In a pass, it was on a passing play, and just literally in pass pro, completely took him out of the game. I can't say enough about this offensive line and the job that Chris Greer has done putting it together, and just the job that the offensive, and I can't remember our offensive line coach, but he's done a great job as well getting these rookies ready. The coaching, the personnel, I mean, everything is working on that offensive line right now. And if you have a good offensive line, you're in any game you play. Any game that you play in, your offense is going to be in that game. As long as you don't turn the ball over a lot, a good offensive line will keep you in any game. And I think this is by far the best. And I think it's been the achievement of the season so far, is this offensive line. It really has. And you can tell to get two rookies this ready to go and look this good, it's a testament to coaching too. It's not just the good, and obviously 90% of it or 80% of it is picking the right players, but I think coaching has a lot to do with it as well. And who knew Solomon Kinley would be this good? I mean, he's amazing. And like I said, the interior, when was the last time you saw an interior offensive line? Just go back and watch some of the just passing plays. Just go back and watch the interior of that offensive line. There was at one point, Solomon Kinley, it looked like he had the defensive tackle 10 yards down the field. And you wonder why Fitz had so many rushing lanes up the middle of the field, is because, dude, no one was getting past them. They were doing such a good job in pass protection all night. So, yeah, I think the three things that we hit on that I think are the three biggest takeaways on offense. Chan Gailey is looking really good as a play caller, doing a really nice job with not only the scheme and the play calling, but really utilizing individual talents for players. I think the offensive line has looked really, really, really good, and the tight ends blocking. I think Adam Shaheen and Durham Smythe are doing a tremendous job right now. I think those are the biggest takeaways I have on offense. Not to mention Fitz is still Fitz right now. Fitz, I know the week one game is what it is, the 3 interceptions in Gillette Stadium. It's a tough place to win anyway, especially against Bill Belichick. With no we can go through all the excuses, but he's had really back-to-back really nice games. Again, I think the offense is just pointing in the right direction. So let's move on to the defensive side of the football, which I was super, especially after we scored the first drive. I was like, I can't wait to see the defense get on the field, because I really expected dominant, like not a dominant, but just anything better than the last 2 weeks. And we got that on Sunday. Gardner Minshew finished 30 of 42 passing, 275 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 1 interception. We pretty much took Minshew out of the game. Now, James Robinson did not have a good day rushing. He had a good day receiving, but he didn't have a good day rushing. He had 11 carries for 46 yards. And the offense really helped our defense out with the running game as well. James Robinson he was their leading receiver. He had 6 receptions for 83 yards. The secondary, I want to start with the secondary because Keelan Cole had 4 catches for 43 yards. Everyone else was a running back or a tight end in terms of receiving for that team. So I want to start with the DBs. Where do I start? Do I start with the DBs or the coaching? I'm going to start with the coaching and Josh Boyer and Brian Flores. On a short week, now we heard this a lot during the game, but it's true, to completely change the philosophy of the defense and give the Jaguars a new look. It clearly affected them and not only that, but obviously the pass rush, but I want to focus on the scheme for a second. To completely change it around, completely do something completely different, give them an entirely new look, which we have not done since Brian Flores has done that, where we mainly played zone the entire game. And it really helped out, I think, Igbenogany, because obviously a younger player, and X looked great in zone all night. I mean, he was breaking on balls. And I thought the secondary did. I don't care if you're in man or zone, to dominate a game like that as a secondary is very impressive, especially in today's league. And this Jaguars team, I know they didn't have DJ Chark, but they scored a lot of points the first 2 weeks of the year. So for our defense to play the way they played, especially in the secondary. What a bounce back game for Igbenogany. X had a great game as well. I mean, the receivers were non-existent in this game. And again, huge props to the coaching staff, B-Flow and Boyer, to really just give the Jaguars a completely new... Like, we haven't played that defense ever since Brian Flores has been here. To be, for, pretty much 85% of the game playing zone like that. I mean, we did some man stuff with some of the blitzes that we did, but to really just switch the coverages around, give them a completely different look on defense, something they haven't seen on film before, on a short week, to get the team that prepared to do it, and execute with no busted coverages except the one, obviously, where Chris Conley was kind of running free. It was not really a busted coverage as much as it was we were in a zero-man blitz, and Chris ran a good route, and Igbenogany, young player, kind of been on it against a veteran receiver. So again, to be in zone like we were on a short week, something that we don't do that often, and to execute it that well, shout out to the coaching staff, and obviously the secondary for playing as well as they did. Obviously we expect X to play that well, but for Igbenogany, I don't care. Like I said, I don't care if you're in man or zone. To have that good of a bounce back week is very encouraging. And the defensive line. I mean, the defensive line was awesome on Sunday. Let me get the stats for you guys. Grugier Hill finished with a sack. Shaq Lawson was really good all night. I thought not only was he good in the run game, but he was putting pressure on Minshew all night. Same thing with Ogba. The interior, Zach Sealer, who I also believe he got a half a sack. Calvin Oy obviously had the strip sack. He looked awesome. Round of applause for him for making his first big play as a Dolphin. But I do want to focus on Zach Sealer, because we know Calvin Oy is a good player. I mean, I think he played pretty good against the Bills as well. He made some pretty good plays in that. He just couldn't really come through on that pick six. But other than that, I feel like he had a pretty decent game. But this obviously was his best game of the night, and obviously with the strip sack that set up the touchdown to really ice the game was really, really nice. Zach Sealer, though, I think has looked really, really good in pass rush situations. I hope we play him more in those situations, and I know that we did Thursday. He got more snaps than Godchild did, but he looks really good in pass rush too. I mean, he completely the half the sack that he got. I mean, he destroyed. I think it was the guard. He destroyed the guard on that play. Beautiful play by him. Raekwon Davis made a couple of nice plays. He blew up the center. I don't know why our linebackers didn't take advantage of that. They ended up scoring on the play, but he completely destroyed the center for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't know what our linebacker... I would have to go back and watch that play, but they had a free hit on the running back. They could have dumped him in behind the line of scrimmage, or even at the line of scrimmage. Brandon Jones, another player that I felt like has had a pretty good rookie year so far. He was really good in that game. He was really the only one in the secondary, especially, making really good open field tackles all night, I felt like. Christian Wilkins had he made a couple... Oh, yeah, Andrew Van Ginkel, who also had a sack in this game. He looked really good Uh, he looked really good at the end of last year. Obviously, he had the injury his rookie year, and then towards the end of last year, he was really coming on strong, and he looked great against Jacksonville. We need to play him more in pass rush situations. He looked really, really good out there. Had that nice sack on Minshew on fourth down. So, again, the defensive line was dominant all night. Even when Cam Robinson was in the game before he got ejected, they were really good. So it wasn't just the fact that they, lost one of their starting tackles. I thought we were getting really good pressure on them at the beginning of the game. So obviously I just want to recap the positive because I do want to talk about something that was frustrating. There's two things that really frustrated me with this defense, or three things that I really want to get into, but I want to recap the positive. The scheme, the coaching job to really mix it up and really confuse the Jaguars coaching staff and their offense, I thought was awesome on a short week, especially to correct your mistakes and really adjust and give your team the best chance to win on Sundays. I thought the defensive line was dominant, and that's something that B-Flow discussed about before the game, that he really wanted to do some different stuff with some of the stunts and the way that we rush to get a little bit more creative there. I thought we nailed that. We were really good on blitzes too. So the defensive line, I think the three biggest takeaways of this game on defense that are super positive, and I'm excited to continue to see, especially with Byron coming back. Scheme, adjusting, looked great on Sunday with the coaching staff. Secondary looked amazing, dominating the Jaguars receivers. Third thing was defensive line looks much improved in the pass game and in the run game. Especially the pass game, though. Especially the pass game. So here are the three things that frustrated me on defense. And I don't want to be super net because we looked great on Sunday, especially on defense and offense. I think this is the best team win we've had in a long time. But defensively, there were three things that bothered me. I'm forgetting the second one already, so maybe it's not that important. But okay, so the first thing that bothered me was open field tackling. If we play more zone this year, we have to do a better job as a team because most of their yards went to the backs in this game, coming out of the backfield receiving it. Now, James Robinson is a really good young player, but we have to do a better job of tackling. I mean, not only was he getting rack yards, but who's their backup running back? Chris Thompson had he broke a couple of tackles too that should not have been broken. We have to do a better, especially if we play more zone, we have to do a better job of coming up and tackling people in the open field. That was something that I noticed. It was really bad all night. What else? There was something else that was really annoying. I'm gonna remember it and completely. All right, I can't remember the second thing, but the other thing that bothers me is every time we run that 0-man blitz, our corners not only does it's not the tell, because we did a good job of mixing it up, because we would give the Jaguars that look and then we would drop our linebackers back in coverage, is something New England has done for the last 5 years, but we did a really good job of executing that tonight. It led to the Grugier Hill sack, where it really confused the offensive line. We dropped some people back. They thought more were coming. They weren't. Confused Minshew. He held the ball a second too long, and then he took the sack. That was really good by the defense of executing that play. But when we do run that 0-man blitz and give that look, our corners are way too far back. That's why we gave up that Steelers. I think we even had given him a touchdown on that, or either that or it was a 20-yard gain on like second, or it was I think it was 3rd and 20 or something like that to Deontay Johnson last year. It was because we play way too far off. Every single time we run that play, not only is it a huge tell to the other team, but it's not good technique on a 0-man blitz, in my opinion. You cannot be that far back on a receiver, unless it's like 3rd and 10. I'm okay with it at that point, but you gotta be a good open field tackle team. Even then, I would prefer us to press. We have to be more aggressive in those situations. In challenging the receivers. We can't run a 0-man blitz like that and step that far back. It doesn't work. If you press, not only does it give your defensive line more time to rush the passer, it also gives the corner, and I know, I think as a corner, it has to be more comfortable doing that, because not only do you get to really put your hands on the receiver, but you know that the quarterback's not going to have that much time, because we're probably sending more than they can block. It's just something that's really bothered me about the way that we run that play. I have no idea whose idea that is. It has to be a coaching thing. I really wish we would be more aggressive in challenging the receivers on that play. I think. Oh, I just remembered the third thing. It has to do with the secondary too. But just to put like kind of a bow on that, and I don't want to be negative, okay? But it is something that bothers me. Just challenge the receivers. Not only does it give our defense a better chance of sacking the quarterback, but they're not just going to throw a quick slant or something and score an 80-yard touchdown on it because you can't make an open field tackle. Just let them have to go down the field and make a throw down the field in that blitz. Don't let them throw something short and let your athletic receiver run an 80-yard touchdown on a slant. Get up in there and challenge the receiver. It blows my mind every time you run that. And the third and final thing that I want to bring up that's been bothering me a little bit is I don't know what's going on with. We need to do a better job of getting our head around. There was a couple of times in that play or in that game that we could have had interceptions, and we just haven't done a really good job of getting our head around. I mean, the X thing, I don't know if this is a combination of bad. I think it's more bad luck, but it's been frustrating to watch. X should have had an interception. He just completely like trips and falls. He had great leverage on Chris Conley. Eric Rowe had a play where he should have had an interception, not only last week, but in this game too, where at the very least the ball should have been incomplete. If he just gets his head around, not only does he not get called for the PI, but he has a good chance to make a good play on the ball. I just don't understand. I think it's a combination of bad luck, and I have no idea what's going on. Because we've had some serious bad luck with that, with some of the balls that have just been kind of lofted up there. And obviously with the Jamal Wiltz pick that he dropped, where there were 50 of us there, and we just couldn't make the play. I have no idea what's going on with that. Because that happened in the Bills game too. X dropped a pick. Eric Rowe should have had an easy interception. We kind of baited Josh Allen into that. I think that's it. I don't know why I said 3. Maybe there's a third one that I'm forgetting. But I don't know. Something that's just like, what is going on with that? Can we not just get a pick? And I don't think it's technique and coaching. I think it's just more bad luck than anything. But yeah, anyway, we dominated this game. We looked amazing. We dominated a game that we should have dominated. I don't know why other analysts thought this team was so much better than we were. But I know I 100% thought that we were going to win this game. I was actually looking forward to the game all Thursday. I was like, I know we're going to win this game. This could be a great Thursday. Because I just think we're the better coach team. I think we're the better built team. I think we have the better everything, really. And it was really nice to see our team get a really good team win on offense, defense, and special teams. Because we really did play really well on all 3 phases. If we didn't take our foot off the pedal on the offensive side of the ball, we could have easily had more points than we did. But obviously we were in clock mode in that second half. Overall, like I said, we were so close for the first 2 games. It sucks that we couldn't get that one in Buffalo, or not in Buffalo, but in Miami versus Buffalo. But hey, it is what it is. We moved on. It felt great to get a victory like this in primetime football, especially as a Dolphins fan, because the last few games in primetime have not gone our way. And it's nice to watch a game at night and get a blowout victory against the Jacksonville Jags, especially when everybody was talking as much trash as they were. And like I said, the offense, defense, they all looked really good and much improved in their own ways that we just broke down. And it was really encouraging to see that. And I'm very excited to continue to watch this team because, like I said, dude, like I said last week, and I'll say it again this week, I really do feel like we have a good team. All right, so let's move on to the fan Q&A where we answer fans' questions. How many questions did we have? 20 questions, which is good. That's a good amount of questions. This first question comes from TRMC. He says, or TR3MC. He says, was the pressure... Excuse me, I'm over here hiccuping. This first question comes from, again, I have to repeat it. Comes from TR3MC. He says, was the pressure on their quarterback the deciding factor in this game? You think for our defensive... Was the pressure on their quarterback the deciding factor in the game? You think for our... Was this our... Or do you think for our defense... It's a weird way to word that. Was the defensive pressure on their quarterback the deciding factor in this game? Yes. And then it kind of keeps going. And he says, in this game, yes, I do think it was for our defensive performance. Yes, I do. I think B-Flow talked about it again. And I think we really are, I think we're finding the guys that rush the passer the best. Like Zach Sealer, Van Ginkel. I think those guys need to be on the field on obvious passing situations more. Because I think they give us a little bit more oomph. Especially with Kyle Van Noy. I thought those two rushing together looked really good. Kyle Van Noy and Van Ginkel. This next question comes from Take Me Out. He says, it looks like Solomon Kinley has potential to be a future star. He looks amazing. He looks absolutely amazing. He looks great, dude. In the running game and passing game, he looks amazing. He's not a one-trick pony either, like I said. I mean, he's really good in pass protection and if you run behind him, he just moves people. This next question comes from Take Me Out. He says, good news, if the season ended today, we'd have the first pick in the draft. Thank you, Texans. That's true. We do have the Texans pick, and that, like I said, that was something to... Before the season started, I said that's something to watch for because I just feel like the Texans are way worse than they were last year. And I've never seen. Not only did we give up, and I don't want to sound like I'm gloating, but God forbid we just pat ourselves on the back here. I think we've earned that as fans of this team. Chris Greer flipped Tunsil for 2 first-round picks and then immediately replaced him in the next draft. Arguably, I mean, if Austin Jackson keeps this play up, he's better than Laramie is right now. And I've never, applause to Chris Greer, dude. What a great job he's done. Because Austin Jackson has looked amazing. But to flip Laramie for 2 firsts and then replace him with maybe potentially, definitely has had a better start to his career than Tunsil did, but potentially a better tackle. That is crazy, dude. So yeah, good point by Take Me Out. The Texans currently hold the number 1 overall pick. This next question comes from Eric. He says, with Myles Gaskin looking really good, what do you think happens with Jordan Howard? I just don't think this, I don't think this offense fits him really that well. Like I said, I think this is a pass-first team that's going to be in a lot of heavy receiver sets. That's really going to look to spread the ball around, and he's just not a really good fit for that. So I think you're going to see more Gaskin and Breida, and just more like in short yardage situations and goal line situations, you're going to see Howard, unfortunately, and that sucks because I like Jordan Howard as a dude and seems like a cool dude, and he's a nice player, but he has to get a lot of carries for him to affect the game like we want him to, and that's just not what this offense is right now. This next question comes from Take Me Out. He says, nice win. Does it look to you like Xavier Howard not playing 100% healthy? No, I think he looked great on Thursday. I think that's the best I've seen him look. Especially because they were playing zone. Obviously, if you play zone as a corner, sometimes you can drop off and break on a ball that's not even your assignment, and we really saw him do a good job of that in this game. I thought he looked really good. This next question comes from Beef. He says, hey, Skaggs, now that we won our first game of the season, what has improved and what still needs to be improved about this Dolphins team? I think what has improved is the play calling. I think we're really finding our identity of as a team. I think the identity and the chemistry and everything is really shining. I think the offensive line, the tight end blocking has been great in the running game. So I think the offense in general really has no flaws right now if we can continue to do some of the things that we're doing. I think the offense has looked outstanding. So I think that's the first thing to me. I think the highlight of the year so far, though, is the offensive line. And I don't think there's really anything that needs to be improved on offense other than, I think, more consistency in the running game, I would say. I think there just needs to be a little bit more... and just better play for Matt Breida. Matt Breida needs to play better. So I would say that. And then I think defensively, I would say consistency. We want to continue to see pressure on the quarterback like that. I would love to see Zach Sealer, Ginkle, and Kyle Van Noy all rush together more. I think that lineup really helped us in that game. I think that all of those guys looked really good at rushing the passer on Sunday. And I would say open field tackling. I think that's something that needs to be improved for sure. Because I can't say that this is... because, as much as I want to say it, because I really think this defense is talented. And I want to believe this... You know what? I just can't say that because we've only seen it in one game. And I want to continue to say it, but I don't want to be too negative either. But in terms of improvement, I would just say consistency. I want to continue to see this type of creativity on the defense, schematically. And I just want to continue to see the pressure and the run defense. And I think we will, because I really like this defense is talented. It just needed to come together, and I think it has. And that's without Byron Jones, by the way, one of our best players. So I would say based off this game, some of the things that we still need to improve on despite the dominant defensive performance is just, I would say, open field tackling is the biggest thing. It needs to be way better, especially if we play more zone. This next question comes from Beef. He says, hey, Skaggs, I know this player wasn't on the Dolphins, but how do you feel about the passing of Gale Sayers this week? Very unfortunate, one of the best players of all time. Um, he had obviously a very unfortunate career as well because he injured. He tore up his knee really bad. I think Gale only played 5 years. He did not play that long in the league. And when he tried to come back off the injury, he wasn't the same. But one of the best open field players ever. It's not even close. If you want one guy to return a punt on Sunday all time, it would probably be Gale Sayers, Deion Sanders, probably Dante Hall, and Devin Hester would be your top four. He's one of the best open field players of all time and one of the best running backs. If he was in today's game, with how people utilize the backs in the passing game, he would be unstoppable. So yeah, very unfortunate news to hear Gale Sayers passing away there. This next question comes from David. He says, I feel like Mike Gesicki is a top 3 tight end this year from a production standpoint. Am I overreacting? I feel like is he a top 3 tight end so far? I think he's definitely a top 5 tight end. There's a lot of really good tight ends in the league right now. You have Mark Andrews. I think he's better than Darren Waller. He's probably not better as a blocker, but I think he's a better receiving tight. I think he's more... I know people are going to think that's crazy, but if you look at the numbers, I think they speak for themselves this year. And not only that, but I think he had like 13 or 14 targets, and he had like 104 yards against the Saints. I think it's more Josh Jacobs that's the star of that offense. But anyway, I think Mike Gesicki is definitely in the top 5 for sure. I don't think that's an overreaction, David, especially this year. This next question comes from Jagum. He says, are you getting tired of people asking when Tua will come in? Hasn't the question been answered a gazillion times by now? Geez. Yeah, it's kind of it's not because I just don't think it's a valid question. I think it's kind of an ignorant question at this point. Like, if you don't follow follow the team a little bit. And I'm not, it's difference between why isn't Tua and wanting to win. Those are two totally different things. I'm not saying if you want to win, that's a completely different thing than why isn't to win. So, yeah, I think it's more of an ignorant question, Jagum, and it is getting annoying. This next question comes from David. He says, how do you feel about the Flores philosophy of scheming pressure? I don't like it. Hasn't been proven to be very effective. We need at least one bona fide pass rusher capable of 10-plus sacks that can beat tackles at the line. Well, if you're just looking at this game, it was very effective because we hit the quarterback, I think, over 10 times or something crazy like that. And we had obviously had 3 sacks from different players, and we had 2 players that had half a sack. So we had a good night rushing the passer. I think it worked on Sunday. It's worked for Bill Belichick the last 5 years. I think you just got to give it a little bit of time. A little bit more time. I think this defense is finally getting... We'll see the next few weeks, though, David. But I can see where you're coming from for sure. But I think, again, this is the first time this is the most talented it's had on this defense. I think you got to give it a little bit more time because it really worked this week, and I think it will continue to work. Let's see here. What else? But he said something. Pass rush is capable of 10-plus sacks that can beat the tackles at the line. This defense definitely doesn't need that. But I definitely can see where you're coming from for sure. We'll have to see if it, I think it's going to work because I've seen it work in New England, and I saw it work for sure on Sunday, and I think it will work, especially confusing the other team's offensive line. I think that is a very effective way of getting at the quarterback. This next question comes from Beef. He says, hey, Skaggs, do you have your Tua shirt/jersey yet? No, I do not. I'm sure everybody else does, though. This next question comes from Beef. He says, hey, Skaggs, how tough do you think... And I didn't mean to say no like that. I love to. I mean, I've been on the Tua wagon for 3 years now. People know that. People know that. The people who listen to the show a lot know that. This next question comes from Beef. He says, hey, Skaggs, how tough do you think it's going to be for the Dolphins to win these next 2 games against Seattle and San Francisco? I have big doubts, but do you think Miami can pull it off? They definitely can. I mean, San Fran's hurt. I mean, Kittle probably won't play. Jimmy might not play. I think he's actually ruled out for that game, if I'm not mistaken. Mostert's hurt. Nick Bosa's out for the year. That team is definitely beatable for sure. And Seattle, their defense isn't very good. So at least there's that. We definitely need Byron Jones against Seattle, though, because they have a stable of really good receivers. But Seattle has to travel a long way, and we play at home. So I think it's always a favorable matchup for us. And we're a good team, so I think we definitely could beat Seattle. It's definitely possible that we could beat those teams. This next question comes from some coconuts, Some other coconuts? He says, do you think our next big star is Myles Gaskin? And also, do you like coconut? Oh, God, dude. All right, well, I love the podcast every week. Keep it up and fins up. Yeah, thank you. He says, so do I think Myles Gaskin is going to be a star? I don't know. I'm a wait and see mode on that. I've really liked from what we've seen. I don't know about a star, but I think he can be a good NFL running back for sure. This next question comes from Richard. He says Shaq Lawson hasn't done anything yet. He was supposed to help with the pass rush. The only sacks he's had is a garbage. He is a garbage can and has been invisible. I thought he was really active in the game last night with pressures and gets the run. So I want to go as far as to say that. Obviously, we want to continue to see more of him, and I think we will. This next question comes from Jag. He says, I don't hear anyone talking about who's play calling on defense. It seems to be Boyer. If so, why isn't Flo calling defensive plays? Isn't that one of his biggest strengths? I think his biggest strength is just leadership and as just managing the team. But I think Josh did a really good job Sunday, and I think B-Flo did a good job of overseeing the defense and really kind of switching it up for Thursday. This next question comes from Hunter. He says, when do you think Tua should come in? Probably if Fitz continues to play this well, and the team is in contention, probably not at all this year, I would say. So that is it. We have a non-Dolphins question. If you guys want to hear me answer it, but we'll get through this and then we'll wrap it up. This next question comes from Jago. He says this is not a Dolphins question. He says, "What do you think of Madden 21? Has it improved from last year's Madden?" He says, "Do you have?" He says, "What are your?" He says, "Do you have a PS5 pre-ordered yet?" No. He says, "What other games are you looking forward to the PS5? And are you Soul's Head?" Not a Soul's Head. The game that I'm looking for most for PS5, I've played all the Uncharted, played all the Metal Gears, pretty much played all the PlayStation exclusives, all the Last of Us, pretty much all the Naughty Dog games. So I think the thing, I love PlayStation. I think PlayStation is killing it. So I would say, if I had to pick one PS5 game that I'm most excited for, I would say it's God of War 2. Love the Corey Balrog version. God of War 1, very stoked for God of War 2. And do I think Madden 21 is better than Madden 20? It's much better than Madden 20. If you like football, Madden 21. If you play online and you like football, Madden 21 is a pretty good game. So yeah, that is it, ladies and gentlemen. A very odd way to end the fan Q&A there. But I'm very happy from what this team... I'm very, 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 very excited with this team going in the future. Not only is Chris Greer killing it, B-Flow's killing it, Shane Gailey's killing it right now. The defense has looked much improved. Mike Gesicki's a joy to watch on Sundays. Devontae Parker. The whole thing, dude. I'm very happy. The offensive line has been... good Lord, dude. I could not have seen or foreseen. I am so overjoyed about this offensive line because my expectations were low. And they have jumped over and hurdled over those expectations and just rocketed into a different stratosphere. They look amazing. So yeah, that is going to be it, ladies and gentlemen, for this week's episode. I'm super excited for next week's episode. And obviously playing the Seattle Seahawks on Sunday. Have a good weekend, ladies and gentlemen. You got a blowout win on primetime football. You got to be feeling good. Enjoy Sunday's games. Hopefully you guys have a good weekend. And I am Skagster83, and I will see you guys in the next one.